About to another review. There's another paid request, this time from John Zero Cool. Thank you so much. Not only for being a good friend, but thank you for the request. For anyone out there, feel free to send requests if you wish, either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in info box. It could be pretty much anything: topic, reaction, re-review, commentary, topic, out of the blue, topic, whatever. Bottom line, it could be for pretty much anything, if you wish. Now, this is for a film called Night Shift, which came out in 1982, and it was the first, it wasn't the first film Ron Howard directed, but I say the film that really started him into getting bigger projects like Splash, Willow. Get into later on, you had Backdraft, Apollo 13, Ransom. It's a comedy starring his co-star from Happy Days, Henry Winkler, as well as Michael Keaton. And Michael Keaton, this seemed like the film that kind of put him on the map, and then you would be in, I think Mr. Mom was after this. I believe, if it was before, forgive me for, I think it was after this, Mr. Mom. And then you had other comedies. That's why people are like, what, really? This guy's going to be Batman? But he showed people wrong. And then that catapulted his career a bit more. And the best part of the film is these two guys and the way they work with each other. Because you have Henry Winkler, who used to be into business, accounting, stockbroker type of deals. He wanted this supposedly for it being much quieter. He is working at a morgue, but now he's gone back to the night shift thanks to his boss. Michael Keaton is the new guy on board who becomes his partner. And Henry Winkler, he's got a fiance who is always sketchy on stuff. Please check the apartment in case anyone's there. What? Yeah, go do it. Oh, I'm tired of being fat. You're not fat. No, I'm still fat. Just being annoying, honestly. His fiance's being annoying fucking... And the fucking dog, neighbor's dog, always try to bite him. Anytime he tries to get food, they always ruin his sandwiches. They get the order wrong. He's a guy who is quiet, puts his head down, which ultimately, throughout the arc, he's going to come out of his shell and be a guy who will stand up for himself, which is nice to see. I thought Henry Winkler did a good job. I think it's actually one of his better roles in the movie. There's not a lot of films back in the day he got to be the star of the film. And Michael Keaton has a lot of energy. He has a lot of momentum. You can tell he went in here to prove people that he was a force of nature. And then he would work with Ron Howard again in Gun Ho, which is a film I remember liking. I do think the way the film opened is a bit weird in tone, because it opens with this guy being chased. He's wearing a white suit, being chased by these two guys. One of them is Richard Belzer, who will later be in TV shows, and he had his own talk show, and he was in this film called The Puppet Masters, among others. Usually known as a stand-up comedian. But these two guys are chasing this third guy. They grab him, tie him to a chair, and throw him to his death. And he lands on a basketball hoop as a guy slams his basket. I'm like, this is a weird start to a comedy. A guy getting brutally killed by getting thrown out the window and falling to his death. I'm like, again, when you think of comedy, that's not really the first thing you think of to start your comedy with. But after that, it does get better. And you do see those guys come back, so there's a reason why those characters are set up. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird tone to set for your comedy. But yeah, Henry Winkler, like you say, he's a guy, just trying to keep the peace, working in the very, very quiet night shift at this particular morgue. And he has some funny lines written for him. Like, my mom goes to a seance every Friday night since my father died, just so she could still yell at him. And Michael Keaton, he's easily the best part of the movie. Like I said, those two work together, and they are great. They do great work. They have great chemistry with each other. But Michael Keaton just having so much fun. He has his tape recorder shooting in all these ideas like edible paper. Yeah, now it fits the garbage problem. We'll have edible paper. Which actually, that's not a bad idea if you can make it. Like if you actually have paper, I imagine getting a wrapper. Like you get the McDonald's and then eat the wrapper. I think it's not a bad idea if you can make it work. Of the ideas he had, I'm like, actually, I wonder if they'd ever do that. But then the thing is, that's the problem. You have edible paper that's they're going to be put on something, and there's going to be dirt and shit on it. That's the reason you have a wrapper in the first place, so you don't get anything on it. So what, you don't put a wrapper on the wrapper? So that's the problem with that. So someone should have told Keaton's character that. But he has a lot of fun moments, Keaton. Like when he's being shown around, it's like, oh, me, you alone here? Oh, that's radical, Chuck. Wait, that guy's dead. And you're like, no shit, it's called a morgue. Another person who does a wonderful job is Shelley Long, who's on the TV show Cheers, among others. She plays a hooker who's also a neighbor of Henry Winkler's character. You just see where this is going, where, is Henry Winkler going to stay with the uptight, sketchy fiance who can never give him a good night of loving, or he's going to go with the beautiful, funny hooker? That's a tough choice. But yeah, the first half I think works a bit better because a lot of it's them, not only the story, building up the characters, what's going on, and in particular Henry Winkler's life, but the bond relationship between Winkler and Keaton's character. Like, how can we not stop both anymore, huh? Toot head? Nose candy? Did some dope? No. I just wanted something more quiet. So ultimately, one thing leads to another, and Shelley Long's character, being a hooker, she got beaten up by a pimp, and I guess the other girls, other hookers are going through that as well. So Keaton gets the idea, hey, why don't, since this place is completely dead at night, no pun intended, let's have the hookers here, as in, we'll be, and Henry Winkler's like, what, we'll be their pimps? No, we'll be like their love brokers. Yeah, there you go. We're their love brokers. And like I said, Keaton, he had so much energy in this time, which you would see in films, again, like Gun Ho, Beetlejuice, among others. And like there's one of my favorite bits is when they have all the women in the room, and Keaton's like, I feel the love in this room. It's beautiful. At this moment, I think it's all you women, let me see your breasts. Of course, they get pissed at him for that. You can't do that nowadays, sadly. Because, I guess hookers don't exist in the world of today. I'm all for hookers. They have a service. If you pay them well enough, I'm fine with that service. But you have a montage of them being business agents, doing well, doing good by these women. You even have a frat party that Keaton holds up, like this frat party, and Winkler's like, what the hell's going on? In the frat party, Kevin Costner is there. I'm like, is that who the fuck I think it is? It's Kevin Costner. The scene where, during that frat party, Michael Keaton is holding the bottle on his head, balancing it. There's a guy right behind him. The guy right behind him is Kevin Costner. In fact, on YouTube, there's a bit where Kevin Costner talks about that was like the first kind of big role he had as an extra. And he talked about how during that scene he would yell, and Keaton's like, hey, when we do this again, can you do that again? Okay. So I think Costner was on Ellen's talk show. He was talking a bit about that. I thought that was kind of cool. Again, you never know who's going to become famous because you're an extra in Night Shift, and then a few years later you get to be in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Dances with Wolves, The Untouchables, all that stuff. JFK. So Dean, you never know. You never know. Other people that have small bits. I think one of the people at the beginning playing basketball is Grandel Bush, who I remember he was in films like Free Jack with Emilio Estevez. If I can't, I don't know why I can't talk. He's been in other stuff too. Charles Fleischer, who will later be the voice of Roger Rabbit, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He had a bit part in A Nightmare on Elm Street. He's here later on as a prisoner. Just ultimately, our two leads get in jail. Near the end, you have Joe Spinell. Like, this is like 2 years after Maniac. I'm like, is that Joe Spinell? Oh, shit. I didn't know Joe Spinell was in this, because I've seen this film before, but it's been so long, I barely remembered anything about it. And there's some nice real scenes, too, like when Michael Keaton, Henry Winkler, and Shelley Long, they're kind of enjoying each other. Not that way, but just chat with each other. It's around Christmas time. And Keaton being real about his dad and what happened, and he left, and, you know, my mom used to be pretty, but when you live with a real lunatic, you know, it does things to you. And very nonchalantly, but, you know, softly, it's like, it's tape recorder. Wish my mom Merry Christmas. I thought that was a nice real scene. And it was a nice moment. And it showed that Keaton wasn't just good at comedy, he could be good at drama, which he definitely showcased in films like Clean and Sober, One Good Cop, among other movies. Clean and Sober especially. I thought the third act, it kind of went a little off kilter. I guess I expected it to be a lot more of these hijinks of trying to run this successful pimp station out of the morgue. There'd be maybe close calls with the women, and maybe funny situations with some of the customers where Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton would maybe play good cop, bad cop with some of these customers and the dealings in and around this business. It's not really the case. I just thought the third act just kind of lost a bit of the laughs, because it's those two guys, Richard Belzer and the guy, threatening Henry Winkler and like tying him down and trying to embalm him or something. I don't know what they were trying, like drown him or something. And then Keaton accidentally brings the cops by, and then there's a shootout where those two get arrested. And then our two leads get arrested, then they're in jail, and then pretty much Henry Winkler tell him, Keaton, go fuck yourself. Forgive me in this situation. Him and Shelley Long are broken up. And the fiance dumped him. And granted, it's nice that Henry Winkler finally gets his balls dropped, so to speak. And it's like, fuck you, dog, go home. Fuck you, buddy. It's actually Vincent Schiavelli, the guy who would help Patrick Swayze try to be a ghost in the subway in Ghost. He's been in other stuff too, but that's Vincent Schiavelli, because he's the guy who brings the sandwich. He's like, hey, this is a bad sandwich. This is not what I asked for. I did finally stand up to it. It's a nice arc for Henry Winkler, but it's just, there's not a whole lot of laughs in the third act. And pretty much Henry Winkler rushes to where Shelley Long's at, and coincidentally, Michael Keaton's working there too. And he's working for Joe Spinell. And like now he wants to stand up for Michael Keaton. And like the big finale is dealing with Shelley Long, standing up for Michael Keaton, pushing Joe Spinell into the water. They run off into the city, and then do they still work at the morgue? Are they still... I mean, granted, the one guy said, we'll give you your job back. But does that mean he'll quit and get a better job? Will him and Michael Keaton have some type of business together? Like, you don't really know what the future for these characters are, other than, I guess, Winkler and Shelley Long will be together. And it's weird, like, Joe Spinell, he wasn't really a character for 90% of the film. He's now a character in the last 10%, and then the big crux is, oh, I pushed Joe Spinell into water. If it was like the guy who fucked him over at the beginning of the film, like the guy who changed his job to go back to night shift, which is where he started at, or the nephew who didn't do his fucking job right, and it was those two guys, and he like pushed them in the water, say, fuck it, I quit, I'm going to get a better job. Like, that would make more sense story-wise, it'd be more satisfying, not this guy that, Joe Spinell's character, that we haven't seen before, and I guess it's more the showcase he stood up for himself, but it would make more sense if he stood up himself against the guys who fucked him over at the beginning. And since they were his boss, they could have been fucked over Michael Keaton as well. I don't know, I think a bit more could have been done. And like I said, the movie seemed more interesting in the first half than the second half. It's just the third act kind of, I thought, lost a bit of the laughs. At least to me. And with a movie dealing with hookers, if you're expecting a lot of nudity, you're not getting that. At least not as much as you think you would, dealing with that type of story. And like I said, the story I thought kind of petered out by the third act. I don't know how else to word it that way, but... And the songs are okay. You have some songs from Rolling Stones, Jumpin' Jack Flash. You did Rod Stewart doing a song at the end credits. The Pointer Sisters. It's not a soundtrack I would listen to. Oh man, I can't wait to listen to the soundtrack. But it's like, it's alright for the film. And so at the end of the day, I thought the film was fun. It was entertaining. For the most part, because of the two leads. Henry Winkler, Michael Keaton. It's for free on YouTube. It's worth a watch for those two alone. Alone? What the fuck am I talking about? Alone. For those two alone. As I'm going along, my fucking tongue is going along with this video. In fact, it's going along over there. I'm waiting for it to come back. Can you come back? Can I get my tongue back in my mouth so I can talk properly, please? Thank you. But yeah, Night Shift is fun. It's not my favorite Ron Howard film, but it's a fun comedy. It's entertaining for what it needed to be. Shelley Long is cute and likable. Henry Winkler, again, I thought I did a rather solid job as the lead. Michael Keaton is definitely a ball of energy that you just see would go places, and he definitely did, deservedly so. And overall, it is a fun movie. It's a fun film. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.